has been an instrument of death and destruction throughout history. Lodin came to down to become its leash. As how a saying goes, even a war has its limit. Presently, there are covenants that rule the customary and principle of war, namely the Geneva Convention and the Rome Statute. Now what if we apply the principle and customary of war that has been acknowledged by the world into one of the most successful anime franchises centering on the topic of war? Yes, we will discuss it through the Attack on Titan final season. It tells us the story of two countries, namely the Marley Empire and the Paradise Island, who both share a dark and bloody history. Using the power of Titan, they try to conquer each other, and alongside Eren Yeager, our protagonist, we will identify the moments when Marley and Paradise actions have breached the international principle, customs, and laws of war. First, we will discuss from the perspective of Paradise Island and uncover their war crimes, starting from this arc where Willy Tiber, a subject of the Marley Empire who is standing in a podium, is making a war declaration towards the Paradise Island on the intimate zone in Marley territory, known as Liberio. Spectated by the many world leaders who have gathered around, herein Eren Yeager, as part of the Survey Corps, a branch of Paradise Island's military, seized the moment to attack and kill Willy Tiber. Following his action, Eren proceeds to target the military officers of Marley, killing not only his targets, but also the innocent civilians who just happened to be around the area. In order to understand which action of Eren Yeager constitutes the war crimes that have been regulated under the Rome Statute, we need to first classify his action when attacking the Marley Empire. First, Eren, in full knowledge that the building he's in will be destroyed if he transforms into the attack Titan, proceeds to do so and intentionally directs his attack, destroying the buildings. This clearly infringes Article 8, Section 2, Clause B, Subclause 2, that stipulates the prohibition of intentionally directing attacks against civilian objects, that is, objects which are not military objectives. The buildings around the war declaration area were clearly not used for military necessity. They are simply the residential property of the civilians in Liberio. Second of all, Eren's transformation will cause an impact enough to kill the civilians around. Nevertheless, aware of this very fact, he proceeds its action and infringes Article 8, Section 2, Clause B, Subclause 4, which prohibits intentionally launching an attack, in the knowledge that such attack will cause incidental loss of life or injuries to civilians. Now, Eren himself did not deny his action. He was fully aware that the civilians will be the casualties of his action when he was confronted by Mikasa Ahmad, one of his fellow comrades. Furthermore, this action is also prohibited under the principle of precautionary, which is to take all feasible precautions to protect the civilian population and civilian objects under their control against the effects of attacks. Ironically, and to no surprise, the war crimes that Eren has committed was also committed by his comrade named Amin Alid when he was attacking the Marley's navy. By turning into the colossal titan with no precautionary and yet fully aware that his action will cause the same result as Eren Yeager's attack, he leaves behind corpses and ruins every step he took. Clearly, Armin has also committed the crimes under the Rome Statute. After the Paradise Island, we will now identify the Marley's crimes during the war. Herein, it was told that Marley has the customary of enlisting children of alien race to become the warrior that will inherit the Titan's power. This will also mean that the children are enlisted in their rank and will become soldiers that are going to be deployed in war. Under Article 77, Section 2, Additional Protocol 1 of the Geneva Convention, this action is clearly prohibited, in which children under the age of 15 shall not be enlisted as a soldier or should take direct hostility in the war. Further of this under the 27th International Conference of the Red Cross and Red Crescent, as well as the Convention on the Worst Forms of Child Labor, Article 2 and Article 3, Section A. The age limit was even set to 18. Most of the Mali warriors, those who have inherited the Titan's power to join in the war, are in fact still under the age of 18. Take the example of Rainer Brown, one of the Mali warriors who possessed the power of Armored Titan. At the age of only 12, he was sent to infiltrate Paradise Island for the mission under the Mali military's order, only to return traumatized and depressed, wishing for only death in the midst of the gruesome war. And the worst part is yet to come, because who imagined? One of the other crimes conducted by Mali Empire is to actually turn human beings into mindless Titan by using a special fluid and use them as a weapon in the war. Under Article 36 of Additional Protocol 1 of Geneva Convention about new weapons, a weapon should be clearly understood to confirm to at least the following: principle of distinction, principle of proportionality, and prohibition on severe blows, injury, or unnecessary suffering. The principle of distinction is known to prevent the use of indiscriminate weapons. Under the Customary of International Humanitarian Law, indiscriminate weapons are of a nature to strike military objectives and civilians or civilian objects without distinction. However, as the scene shows, the mindless Titans attacks humans with no distinction, whether it is of military objectives or civilians. Further, it causes unnecessary suffering by how the victims were injured greatly in pain when being eaten alive gruesomely by all of those Titans, this resulting in yet another infringement of the laws of war. Attack on Titan final season shows just how a war is conducted without the supervision of laws, of how chaotic and merciless a war can be towards the innocents, towards the people who did nothing but run about their daily lives. War, even with a leash, will cause not only more destruction, but doom for those who ignite it. To imagine a war without a leash, it is the horror captured in the Attack on Titan final season, which sadly also happens even in the modern world, where infringement of laws happens every so often. War must never be an option. Oftentimes, it is not only the lives that are lost, but also something inside, something of a much more simple and poetic entity, our humanity. And to protect it, laws though flawed shall exist as the leash, preventing the unnecessary calamity that must befall if war were to happen. Peace and justice.